When I passed out architecture way back in '99 and we started our own firm with my wife, we were doing a lot of public buildings, we were doing institutions, we were doing projects of a different scale. And at that time, being in Delhi, we realized there's a huge challenge in terms of designing a home, a single, because Delhi is comprised of a lot of joint families, so there are multi-family residences. And to be able to accommodate everybody's need into a single family residence, it itself is a huge challenge, as a design challenge. So that is what exactly drew me towards doing the houses. We tend to design buildings as complete. We want to design everything when it comes down to architecture. But when it comes to a home, it's slightly different. And I view that a little differently because, I like to design a home 70% and leave that scope, those blanks in between, which can be filled by people who are living in a house. So this house that we were designing, it is a tight plot of 300 square yard, and we had to accommodate about 10 bedrooms in this house. We created this central courtyard or a central space where I'm sitting right now. It's kind of a skylight on top, and the whole house looks on this open courtyard, and it draws its essence from the traditional Indian architecture of Gujarat, Rajasthan. Here, of course, we've done a modern interpretation of it. On the ground floor, this courtyard has a plunge pool, which is with a glass floor that further gives light into the basement. That itself was an innovation for us to accommodate that into a lifestyle. So when you talk about an Indian home, you do not design the complete house the way you would do it in the West. So West architects put in, it's minimalism, you go into subtleties to design a clean home, and you just hand it over. So when you see these pictures in the magazines or in postcards or whatever, they're these nice, pretty clean pictures. But when it comes to Indian houses, they're messy. When I say messy, messy in terms of they add in their bits, and you have to accept that. You cannot design a minimalist home in India.
I did graphics and I got into interior designing, and I did my own home first. I love the fact that from a 2D drawing you can, it comes into life in a 3D format, and it's awesome to see your ideas actually taking shape.
Both of us are avid travelers. We've been to a lot of countries together, and we love going and seeing museums, especially abroad, getting exposure to the local artists, be them famous or the small town artists.
Basically, the art is from different parts of the world. We have things from Bali, we have some Turkish things, we have Indian stuff, we have Far Eastern, and it's all kind of put together. And I think this particular space is large enough. You have to keep that in mind, whether the room's large enough.
The height, the ceiling height really helps. And it's an experimental design, it's experience design. So that definitely helps, and people want a lot of that customization in their house as well, and something different. Now there's a lot of technology also that's being added, so there's a lot of laser cut elements,
automation,
there's a lot of automation exactly for lights and electricity. So it's a more interior architecture rather than just sticking to plain wall surfaces.
You have to use and maximize the good architecture as well as minimize the flaws. You might have multiple beams which you need to hide in a false ceiling. If there's a narrow room, you optically try and use horizontal lines which make the room optically. Now we have a bank of windows which we kind of opened up. Actually, we took in the balcony, we opened up the windows. Because it's an old building, we've got an old hammered glass, and we've got a very old wooden look to the windows. We've given multiple seating. We have a little informal niche on the side, which is presently a Turkish styled.
Low divan seating with the Turkish tiles on the table.
So I wanted to have a little raised platform. So we got this The white stones probably just for texture.
We've basically designed our farmhouse from literally bare ground at Kavardhara, that's near Igatpuri. From the chalk marking on the ground to the finished, our first night, literally in 11 months. The main thing was getting a lot of landscaping in, because again in Bombay you don't have much opportunity
of land around you.
So that was something that was quite challenging for us.
You have to obviously try and incorporate the outside, which is the greenery, which we don't get in a city home generally. So you try and incorporate that with your windows and your floor to ceiling windows and
the actual architecture actually integrated with the contours.
If the contours of the land you use it, that's what we've done. We've used the contours of the land to give the second level. So at one plan it just looks like a single layered thing, but at the other contour you can get the double height below. Yeah.
We went with exposed wooden ply ceilings, which were just polished, like no veneer, laminate on it, and also just really furniture that's very easy to maintain, because you're not going to keep going back there, to repair stuff.
So a lot of distressed wood and
a lot of distressed hardwood furniture and stuff like that.
Well, there you go, some ideas for architectural innovation to get inspired by, if not outright steal. So on the one hand, you can push the limits of design, you can get very innovative, that's what we've just seen. And then if you're a real estate developer, you want to keep maximum use of space. You want to keep it straight and simple. So there you have innovation, you have the regular. How do you draw a balance between the two? Some of India's luxury real estate properties, they stand out for their design innovation. We checked in with the experts. We asked them to pull out their picks.
Kanchenjunga in Mumbai, DLF Magnolia in Gurgaon, or the Golden Gates in Bangalore. Are these then the new icons of Indian architecture today? About a couple of decades ago, location and view would suffice when it came to picking out a piece of real estate. Today, India's biggest developers like Hiranandani, Oberoi and the Lodha Group are packing in a lot more by the way of design and architecture.
Well, 20 years back, India and real estate of India had very little luxury project to talk about. It's only last about 8-10 years that we have started seeing emergence of new designs, new specifications, better ideas.
Yes, like in the super luxury residential towers U Pune designed by Philip Stark, 6 towers, 17 acres overlooking a rainforest. Or the Trump Towers Pune designed by Italian interior designer Matteo Nunziati.
So some of the projects that have stood out recently would include projects like the Grand Arch in Gurgaon, or the One Horizon Center in Gurgaon. The World Towers coming up in Mumbai are iconic purely because of being the tallest residential towers coming up in the world.
Kanchenjunga in Mumbai, in Camps Corner. That building itself was actually a landmark as far as architecture were concerned, of absolutely high-end, high-quality stuff. And Charles Correa, with that particular design, had actually immortalized unique building designs in the country.
But while architects in India are pushing the design agenda, are all of them practical?
A lot of architects, a lot of developers are trying to replicate what's happening in the world around in the more advanced markets.
In a city like Mumbai, you have these high-rises which are completely glass buildings. Whether they are good for India or not is the next question, nobody's asking. But only because the consumers prefer such buildings which are glass facades, because they have seen it in, say, Singapore, Dubai, Hong Kong, etc.
Actually, Indian buyers, they're not very educated to what architecture does to them. What buyers are typically looking for are the features and amenities that builders are providing, because that is what they can readily put a check against.
Your city design may not require a high rise. You could be all fine with horizontal development, But because height is something which is attributed to luxury, many of these buyers are seeking apartments on say 25 and 30 stories in that particular city where your design permissions may not cross 12-15 stories.
Surprisingly then, when design and amenities come at the altar of practicality, there are bound to be problems.
The bylaws, the regulations also need to evolve. A lot of architects and developers are realizing that they will have to think of the Indian context more and more and try and suit the products as per the real needs and the daily lives of people here, and not directly plonk what they see internationally.